Have you ever noticed that some people treat their phone like a smoke alarm and other people treat it like a pet? For some people, every buzz is like, oop, someone needs me. They hear every notification. They jump. They answer. Their phone is basically a tiny supervisor living in their pocket. And then there's you, or someone you know. Your phone is on silent, always. Maybe even on vibrate. But let's be honest, half the time you don't feel it anyway. Notifications show up like quiet little footprints, and you'll deal with them when you feel like it. People sometimes look at that and assume you're trying to be mysterious or rude or you're bad at replying. But what if keeping your phone on silent isn't a social flaw? What if it's a psychological strategy? Because most of the time, people don't silence their phone because they don't care. They silence it because they care about something else more: their nervous system, their attention, their boundaries, their peace. And once you see the real reasons, it starts to make a lot of sense. Let me paint the scene. You're trying to focus. You're writing an email, cooking, reading, sitting with your thoughts for the first time all day. And then your phone goes off. One ping, then another, and suddenly your brain is no longer where your body is. Your attention gets yanked like a dog on a leash. You look, you check, you come back, you try again. Another ping. It's not just annoying, it's disruptive in a deeper way. There's a concept in psychology called attention residue. The simple idea is that when you switch tasks, part of your brain stays stuck to the last thing you touched. Even if you only checked your phone for 5 seconds, your mind doesn't fully return. It drags a little, like you're trying to run through shallow water. So for some people, phone on silent is less about being antisocial and more like protecting the runway. They're trying to keep their mind from being hijacked every 3 minutes by the world's smallest fireworks show. And if you're the kind of person who's naturally sensitive to stimulation, noise, movement, urgency, your phone isn't just a device, it's an environment. It's a tiny, portable crowd. So you do the only reasonable thing: you turn the crowd down. Now, there's another layer here, and it's emotional. A notification is not neutral. It's a little promise that something wants something from you. Even "hey" can feel like a hook in your shirt if you're already stretched thin. This is why some people keep their phone on silent when they're stressed or burnt out. Their brain has learned that sound equals demand, and when you've had enough demand, your nervous system starts craving control. Silencing your phone becomes a way of telling your body, you are not on call. It's a boundary you can feel. Because here's the truth no one says out loud. Modern phones are designed to create urgency. Not always with the content, but with the sensation. The ping isn't just information. It's a tap on the shoulder, and your brain, being a brain, treats taps on the shoulder as social signals, the same hardware that helped humans survive in tribes. Someone is calling your attention, now gets triggered by a group chat about pizza. So if you keep your phone on silent, you might not be avoidant. You might just be someone whose brain refuses to be yanked around all day. Of course, there's a different reason some people keep it on silent, and it's not just focus, it's anxiety. For some people, a ringing phone feels like a test, like a pop quiz you didn't study for, especially phone calls. Calls are real time. You can't edit. You can't pause. You can't craft the perfect response. It's immediate social performance. So the brain does something very human. It tries to reduce exposure. Silence becomes safety. Not forever. Just enough to breathe. If that's you, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means your brain is trying to keep you regulated. It's choosing the quieter path because the louder one feels like too much. And then there's the personality side, which is kind of fascinating. Some people are more externally oriented. They like quick feedback. They feel energized by responsiveness. Their phone being loud feels like connection. Other people are more internally oriented. They think deeply. They like uninterrupted time. They don't want their day chopped into tiny pieces by noises that demand a reaction. For them, silent mode is like closing the door of a room where they can finally hear themselves. It's the difference between living in a house with every window open and living in a house where you get to choose when the doorbell rings. And if you've ever felt guilty about keeping your phone silent, I want you to notice something. The guilt usually isn't about the phone. It's about the fear of disappointing people, because we're living in a time where accessibility got confused with kindness, where being reachable got confused with being a good person, where a delayed reply can feel like a moral failure. But your attention is not a public utility. Your nervous system is not customer service. You're allowed to be unreachable sometimes, not because you don't love people, but because you do, and you want to show up as someone real, not someone constantly fractured. There's also a small, almost philosophical thing happening when you keep your phone on silent. It's a quiet rebellion against the idea that life should be reactive, that you should always be responding, always checking, always proving you're available. Silent mode says, I'm going to live my life in the order I choose. And that can be incredibly healthy. Not perfect, not always easy, but healthy. Now, to be fair, silent mode can also become a hiding place. If you silence your phone because every message feels heavy, because you feel behind, because you dread being seen, that's worth noticing gently. Not to shame yourself, just to understand the pattern. Sometimes the phone is silent because you're overwhelmed. Sometimes it's silent because you're scared. Sometimes it's silent because you're protecting something precious, your focus, your peace, your inner world. Same behavior, different reasons. And that's the whole point of psychology, isn't it? The surface looks simple. The inside is a universe. So here's the perspective shift I want to leave you with. Keeping your phone on silent doesn't automatically mean you're distant. It might mean you're intentional. It might mean you're sensitive in a loud world. It might mean you're building a life where your attention belongs to you again. And if you want, you can make that choice with less guilt and more clarity. You can silence the noise without silencing your relationships. You can protect your focus and still be a caring person. Those two things were never supposed to be enemies. If this video felt a little too real, tell me in the comments. Do you keep your phone on silent for peace, for focus, for anxiety, or just because you forgot it even has sound? And if you want more videos that explain these tiny human habits with warmth instead of judgment, you can subscribe. We'll keep decoding your brain quietly on your terms.